Are you hungry?
Ugh, not at all. In fact, I've completely lost my appetite.
So when it comes to my email, I get a ton of suggestions. I get weird, I get bizarre, I get things that look ugly and crappy, and as of late, a lot of anthro stuff. But there was one suggestion I was not prepared for.
Ooh, how about giving Hairsaw a kissy?
Yeah. This seriously looks like some kind of cutscene from a PlayStation game. But no, instead it was this, Renard the Fox, aka Renny the Fox. Needless to say, it piqued my curiosity. I wanted to know more about this movie. I'm all about that horrible stuff, and this one caught my attention. It even got to the point where I got online, went to eBay, and bought the last copy of it. I am that dedicated to having you all suffer alongside me.
If I go down, I'm taking you with me. No! No!
Alright, so let's talk about the origin of this movie. So for those who don't know, Renard the Fox is actually based on a very old folklore. And I'm not talking about like, oh, it's a Mother Goose rhyme or something. No, I'm talking about the 12th century, like medieval times. It was originally called Renard the Fox. And according to Wikipedia, it's about Renard going on adventures that usually involve him deceiving other anthropomorphic animals or him trying to avoid retaliation. And his main enemy is his uncle, the wolf Isengrim.
Hold up.
No, hold on. Does that mean that's his aunt? Oh no! Oh, this movie's worse than I thought. The plot thickens.
Does it give you any ideas?
I didn't know anything about the original story going into this movie, though I got major Disney Robin Hood vibes from it. Like, come on, you can't tell me that there wasn't a little bit of inspiration here. Which, nothing wrong with that. I'm sure that Robin Hood was inspired by the original Renard. Also, and this is a cool little side fact, but according to my buddy Paleo, there's this old school stop motion film based on Renard called The Tale of the Fox from 1937. So yeah, this Renard stuff's been popping around for quite some time. So I did some research and tried to find out who made the movie. And honestly, I couldn't find that much about it. According to my sources, it was made by a small studio called Henri Pictures. I think that they're French, but I couldn't 100% confirm this. Any information I could find about these guys was few and far between. According to IMDb, the studio worked on a handful of movies and shows in the early to mid-2000s, and then just stopped making stuff entirely. Oh, well, apparently Renard the Fox was the last thing they ever worked on. I guess it was that bad.
I never thought of it that way.
So the movie starts off with Renard with his neck and a noose, as he talks to the audience about who he is.
You're probably wondering who I am. Well, you'll find out soon enough. But first, I have a little business to take care of.
First time.
Legit, I was excited about the tone of the movie when it started. I'm like, okay, it's kind of snarky. I can dig this. But that didn't last long. What I saw as snarky soon became just a smartass, not in a fun way. And then the villains started to talk, and they're just a bunch of bumbling idiots. And that really sets the tone for the entire movie.
This rope is very itchy. It's scratching my neck.
Oh, I hate that.
So the main story is about Renard, which is kind of weird because the box says Renny the Fox, but it's English and they still call him Renard. Renard? French people, I send my humblest apologies for butchering your language. So that means the original story is called Renard the Fox, but in French it's called Renard the Fox. And then here in the English version, it's titled as Renny the Fox. But they don't even call him Renny. What's the point? Who in marketing said, nah, we can't call him Renard, that's stupid. Let's call him Renny. Renny the Fox. Yeah, kids are gonna love that.
My name is Renard.
Wrong! God!
What about the villains? We already saw them at first. You got Tweedledee and Tweedledum over here. And then you got yourself a generic-looking version of the Sheriff of Nottingham. And you would think that's it. That's all the villains we're getting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, not to brag, but this movie has 2 main villains. What happens when you take Frollo, Jafar, and a donkey and fuse them all together? This guy. All right, so going back to the story. Renard is known as the thief throughout the village and the kingdom. The king and queen lion are somewhat chill with him doing this, but the donkey and the wolf villain are like, no, throw him in jail, we hate this guy. Then there's something about how there's a scroll that tells you where the secret to immortality is.
The sacred scroll holds the answer to eternal life.
In some crazy series of events, Renard gets the map and tries to go find this potion. Along the way, he meets this rat sidekick named Rufus.
I may be small, but I'm warning you, I'm a master of feng shui.
Bless you.
Oh, these 2 incorrigible characters getting into all kinds of mischief and adventures, such as sexual assault, and accidentally leading the bad guys to a village of women and children where they get slaughtered by a bunch of wild dogs. Why, ya wascally fox! You better watch out for Mr. Wolfie McWolferton. I'm gonna get ya with my cartoony antics, and maybe I'll also kill this village of innocent children in cold blood. So Renard and the wolf are racing to the Cave of Wonders, and Renard gets there first. He and his sidekick then meet this magical monster who gives him the potion of immortality. They then take this potion back to the kingdom, where they use it to bring the king back to life. The donkey then gets betrayed by the wolf then gets defeated in combat by the fox, and then Renard's family's like, yay, we're proud of our dad, and that's the movie. That's the movie. Oh, but this wouldn't be a proper conclusion without a dance number. It is an animated film after all. And you might be wondering, well, what song would be best suited for a 12th century anthropomorphic medieval themed movie? How about a subpar cover of Kung Fu Fighting? Yeah, why the hell not?
Everybody was copyright striking. YouTube blocked my video.
Okay, so let's go over my 5 points. First, the story. Real talk, the characters weren't interesting. At all. They were boring, and I didn't care about any of them. The movie tried to raise the stakes with Renard having a family and letting them down, and Rufus being somewhat of an orphan. But I didn't really care. Whenever the rat was on screen, he would only complain, and that got really old really fast. And then you got the plot armor for Renard, where he gets away with anything. He can be careless and reckless, and he's just fine. He gets away with it. There's just zero tension here.
Renard! Give me back my knapsack!
Like, I get it. It's a film for kids, and the characters and the writing don't stack up to Shakespeare. But when you have such uninteresting characters in a movie that's an hour and a half long, well, things get boring really fast. This movie drags, and it was truly difficult to watch. The only real story arc is how Renard wanted to prove to his kids that he isn't a liar, and that there's adventure and magic out there in the world. Mission accomplished, I guess?
Thanks for your help, Pierre, but what are you doing here?
You left Nicolette's teddy bear in the Cave of Curses.
There were also scenes that were incredibly nonsensical. There's a good old-fashioned, oops, I took your bag and you took my bag on accident thing. And the way that it goes down is so complex and over the top. A bag of beets goes like underwater, and then Renard, who's like on the run, decides, hey, now's a good time to go fishing. And the wolf, who's chasing him down, sees Renard and goes, oh, look, fishing. And walks up to the guy and then discovers it's Renard, but doesn't care. He just wants the fish. Oh, I'm sorry. He wants the eels. Big difference. So instead of going after Renard, the reason why he's out in the cold, by the way, he decides to go fishing instead with his tail. I just don't understand. Like, where's the logic?
I'm stuck!
But the ultimate crime here is just how boring this movie is. It's just a bunch of characters chasing after each other. Oh, I'm after you. Oh, and now you're after me. Okay, now I'm after you. Let's keep going back and forth because we have nothing else to do. Next, there's the voice acting. I actually like the voice for Rufus. It seemed fitting to me. Too bad he complains for like 95% of the time he's on the screen.
I mean to complain, but so far, I'm not too crazy about this friendship thing.
Renard's voice was just average, just nothing special. Just your typical average, I'm the hero, I'm here to be good kind of voice. Oh, but here's a fun game. Take a shot for every time the wolf character uses his growly voice. Enjoy your alcohol poisoning.
Consider it done.
After that, there's the dialogue. Oh, man. There are a lot of bad jokes that went on for far too long. Characters who would monologue and talk and talk and talk, and then others who would complain. Sometimes both at the same time. But there was this one sappy exchange between Renard and Rufus that felt like it was straight out of a My Little Pony episode.
No amount of riches can buy you a family. But luckily, the best things in life are still free. Like friendship.
Then there's the editing. There are scenes that go on for far too long. There seems to be a problem with the movie in general, both with the story and the dialogue, but this is something that could have been fixed with proper editing. Give me the movie. I can cut this down in half. All of these scenes with him running back and forth, cut them. Just cut them. It's very obvious that they were trying to meet some kind of length quota for this film, but in the process, it becomes insanely boring. There were moments where I'm watching a scene and I'm thinking, okay, why are we still on this shot? Let's move it along. But no, let's hold here. Let's see him walk some more. And finally, there's the animation. So the character models don't look that bad. I'm trying to be fair here, because I see the bear, the cat, Renard, they look fine to me. I think that they could actually work in some kind of low-budget TV show. I mean, yeah, it reminds me a lot of Sly Cooper, but that's fine. I like Sly Cooper, though there are some models that look pretty rough. I don't care for the wolf. He just looks too scraggly for me. But my biggest complaint is with the king. Look at his crown. The way it looks, it seems like it's part of his skull.
What? Is that true?
Also, the movement was pretty rough. I'd see teeth and gums clipping through the mouth at times. But one of the biggest things you'll notice about this movie and its visuals is the combination of 3D models being an overlay to a 2D setting. Those are drawings, and they look pretty damn good. There were even sequences in this movie where they would draw 2D stuff to go along with a 3D model. So I tip my hat to these guys. I think it's admirable that they try to combine 2D with 3D, but it doesn't work for me. It kind of reminds me of Dinosaur, where they have the models on the ground, and it hasn't aged well, and neither has this. There are moments where the lighting's pretty rough, and so are the shadows, and it just feels like flat to me. Go full 3D or 2D. Combining them together, in this particular case, doesn't work.
I fulfilled your wish.
But the biggest problem I have with this movie are the colors. All of the models look bland. Like, the only one that comes close to having any actual color was Renard. And that's it. Okay, maybe the Lion Queen with the weird-looking face, but everybody else looks pretty bland. Compare this to Sheep and Wolves, where the colors are vibrant and they kind of jump out at you. And then look at this. It's night and day.
Okay, that last part was off the record. I thought I was gonna die.
So when you have these bland colors combined with a boring story, it makes for the ultimate boring experience. This movie was so hard to watch. It was boring! And for that, I can't forgive it. Like I said before, be good, be bad, just don't be boring. And guess who's boring? You are, my little Sly Cooper clone. So how would I improve the movie? Let's start with the story. I would make Renard a bit more like Aladdin, where he's a thief with a heart of gold. One who bears the burden of being hated by his village, but he still does what he does for the right reasons. He feeds his family, he feeds his friends, he helps the poor, that kind of stuff. That way, I would care a lot more about him and his plight, instead of getting this boring hero who instantly gets away with anything that he does. Also, I would edit out large chunks of the movie. Again, there's a whole lot of nothing in this film. They either need to write a better story to fill the gaps, or instead, cut down on the length of the film. For Rufus and Renard, I'd change up their relationship. Throughout the entire film, Rufus was complaining. And again, it got old. I think it would be better if Rufus was like, "You're not a hero. You say you're a hero, but you're actually a thief and no one likes you." And then you got Renard who's trying to prove himself and his worth. Maybe in the climax of the film, Renard is finally crushed and he gives up on his dreams. And then Rufus is like, "No, you've proven yourself to me that you're a good friend and a good hero. So get out of this jail cell and be the hero who you're supposed to be." Oh, by the way, this jail cell sequence is so stupid. Again, this is nonsensical stuff. They lock Renard into a jail cell, they put the key inside the cell, and then they allowed Renard's family to visit without a guard watching him. So instead of putting the key with a guard who should be there watching everything, they just put the key across the way from Renard, in the same cell with him, because that makes sense.
I have finished transcribing the ancient texts, which tell me...
All right, so let's talk about the visuals. They need colors. They need colors so badly. I'm not sure why it turned out so bland, but it does not help the film whatsoever. The character models aren't terrible. We can work with this. I think in combination with a better story and better colors, we can have a film here that's somewhat presentable. But as of right now, it's not. It's boring. And in my eyes, that's the worst thing a film could be. And why the hell was this sequence in the movie? This is why the movie sucks. This scene right here. Not the genocide of the children, but this. Cut this scene out and the movie is 90% better. Or worse, I don't know. This movie sucks.
That was brilliant!
It was, wasn't it? Want to see it again?
First, discombobulate. Dazed, discombobulate. Distract target. Discombobulate. Block his blind jab. Discombobulate. He'll attempt wild haymaker. Discombobulate. In summary, discombobulate.
Hey guys, you made it to the end of the video once more. If you liked it, give it a like, and sub to my channel for more content like this. A big shout out to my Patreons for supporting this video, and if you want to support me on Patreon too, then go check out the description down below. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.